Yep, we're kind of through what we consider to be fall camp. We finished up practice either 15 or 16 on Saturday, and we're kind of moving on to some special needs areas that we got to work on, some finer points, some things we've got to clean up before game time, and starting to work a little bit on opponents. And it's the second kind of phase of camp for us that we've led into, and school part more than anything, and just getting the guys caught up and better in every facet of what we want to try to get with our each side of the ball. So each coordinator is given things they want to work on, and we're going to try to target those things this week.
Kirby, can you give us your thoughts after you looked at the tape of your second scrimmage, what you saw that you liked and what you didn't like?
Yeah, I thought there were some really positives on both sides of the ball. Offense continues to be effective and efficient in the red area. Run game in terms of putting dents in the defense and being physical was really good. Defensively, I think there were some turnovers in there, some sacks, and created some havoc, which is important. But all in all, I thought both sides of the ball continued to get better. I was very pleased with the performance on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Kirby, I wanted to ask you about Zakai Hilton. Just one, what have you seen from him throughout fall camp? And two, what is it like seeing where he is now after the adversity he dealt with in high school with the weight loss and everything like that?
Yeah, he's a pleasure to coach. He's in good spirits each day. He has FPE. That's what we challenge players to have, and he has that. He has toughness. Combine that with talent, and you've got a good player. He's grown into a role for us. Not afraid to be challenged or afraid to be coached, and I think that's a great quality in any age player. But it's important that he sustains that and doesn't become, entitled or sensitive or complacent, because he is a talented player that has to challenge himself day in and day out. And from what he came from in terms of Crohn's disease and the things he went through, it's a pretty incredible story. And he's a product of a great home environment and great leadership.
Kirby, a couple of your young defensive linemen, Valdine, Son, if I'm saying that name right, it might be a different pronunciation of it, and then P.J. Dean. Wanted to kind of get your take on them after being here during the spring, being here during the fall, and if they've got a chance to kind of help you right out the gate this season.
Yeah, Valdin has worked really hard. He's creating a role in terms of like his twitch, his disruption. He's really athletic. Maybe could get stronger and be able to hold the point better. But when it comes to getting off blocks, running the ball, chasing the ball, he's going to make us better. He's going to have a role this year and play in some form or fashion. He plays on special teams because he can run. He's bright. He's intelligent. He loves football. And then PJ is probably just starting to scratch the surface. He did not get to go through all spring. He was dealing with. He had an injury when he first got here in the weight room that he had to deal with, and he had injuries in the spring. He's just consistently missed time, but now fall camp's here. He's growing up rapidly. He's helping us. He's going to be a good football player. But he's got to get a lot of the mistakes out of the way, and we've moved him into the. He's worked with the outside backers more lately than defensive ends, and he's a little bit lighter than we imagined he would be, but he can run. And with Marius Williams, being out, we've got to find ways to rush the passer, and I do think he's going to help us add depth. And he's a tremendous kid. He loves to work.
Kirby, who's your number 2 quarterback behind Gunnar, and how have you evaluated Ryan Puglisi and Ryan Montgomery this preseason?
Yeah, I think all 4 of those guys have done a tremendous job. When you start talking about Buddha and Beaver and those guys have gone in and done work, both those guys have taken reps with the ones, talking about the 2 Ryans. They've done a tremendous job, and that battle's not over. It's one of those things that we'll continue to see, and inevitably you'd like to see it play out in live action. But is that live action through us, or is that live action through a game? I don't know if we'll get a chance to do that. But we have chances every day for them to go in critical, crucial 2-minute drives, third down competitions, and they both had their good and they both had their bad, and they can continue to get better. So has Buddha, and Bryson's a guy that we fight every day to try to get more reps for him so he can continue to grow.
Yeah, Nick Chubb announced his retirement from football on Friday, and you got a chance to work with him here at the University of Georgia. How did he help you grow as a coach in terms of getting to work with him?
He's just an incredible person, leader. I think it was more respect than it was necessarily growth. I guess it was 2 years with him, and his demeanor and the way he went about things and bought into what we were demanding. It was, 2 very tough years for him. One was a bounce back from a significant injury year where we made things really, really hard and tough in the program, and he never questioned any of those things. I don't know that without he and Sony, we get the same buy-in that they had, and just when you talk about human beings and respect for like where they come from, family, name on your back of your jersey, he has tremendous respect from this organization for what he stands for and what he's done for, whether it's his hometown or this university. He's been an incredible ambassador, and to look at what he's gone through with those 2 injuries, I don't think you can find many people that come back from those 2 significant injuries.
You mentioned some of the sacks in that second scrimmage. Do you feel like you're seeing progress with this defense in terms of being able to rush the passer?
Well, I don't know if I've seen that. I mean, we didn't have a sack fest out there. That was not what it was at all. I mean, we aren't where we need to be in terms of pass rush because we're missing some guys in terms of dealing with Amarius not being out there and some talent there. We're having to do it in other ways, and we'll have to do that probably all year in terms of the way we create pressure and how we go about it. So to say that we're where we need to be pass rush wise now, I don't know that we are.
Coach, it seems like in today's era, financial literacy has become a big topic in college football, specifically young athletes. I know Tate Crowder announced a few weeks ago he was a victim of an e-commerce scam. Kind of, what are y'all doing as a program to kind of teach these athletes about financial literacy?
Yeah, we've got people in-house that help our players. We bring in speakers, but speakers can only do so much. They can educate in a 1-hour seminar. If you're not providing in-house help, then you're probably shorting these guys. And we have a tremendous group here that meet with our players constantly. We provide tax services for our players and investment opportunities. And I think that's pretty much now the norm, is that how are you helping these guys, and are they willing to receive help is probably a bigger question than how are we doing it, because anything you ask for in this program, we'll find a way to help you. You have to be willing to receive that help.
Speaking with Quentavius Johnson today, what stood out to you about him, and where do you want to see him grow?
Well, his leadership has grown. His toughness has grown. I love Q because each and every day it's important to him, and he gets better with each and every rep. And he kind of embodies the toughness of this organization. He has a great durable body. Like he's held up. He's been really competitive and helped us at the Sam position and the Jack position, and we want him to continue to grow.
Yeah, we're also talking with Isaiah Canyon today. Just what have you seen from him throughout his first fall camp, here, and how can he help this offense once the season gets going?
Yeah, he's come in and blended really well. I think he was comfortable in the room because of the players on the team and having guys he played high school with and played against all his life. Just the general Georgia consensus of being a Georgia player, he's been around it. So he's worked really hard. He's relatively quiet, but he plays physical and he plays hard. He plays tough. He's not afraid to go down and make hard blocks and dig people out, but he's also got speed and athleticism to be a weapon on the perimeter. And he's had a really good, quiet camp, and I'm very pleased with what he's brought to our team, and great kid.
Kirby, what would you say about Gunnar Stockton's progress? I guess you've got one more scrimmage in the books, and then is there a lot of ones-on-ones in practice and bits and pieces of scrimmage situations? I know people point to scrimmages, but it would seem to me that there'd be some one-on-ones in practice as well.
Yeah, we do ones-on-ones the entire scrimmage. It's the only way we scrimmage. And then in practice, it's that way too, outside of periods when we're trying to maybe get a look at something and we want somebody to give a look, and it's not our ones-on-ones, but most of our practice is ones-on-ones, and you know, that's why you rotate quarterbacks in there too, because you want to see guys go against the one defense. You want to see them perform with the one offensive line, and see, you know, when you're evaluating these quarterbacks, are you evaluating them across groups and getting a cross section? But Gunnar's been fine. He's been good. He had some plays he wish he had back from the last scrimmage. He had some good plays in the first one and some bad ones in the first one. He had some good plays in the second one and some bad ones in the second one. And he's had a good camp. He's in a much better place this year than he was last year, in my opinion, just from experience.
What did y'all kind of see from Q out of high school? Because I know that he played several different positions, including quarterback. Just what kind of traits, athletic traits, and was there a little bit of an adjustment for him coming in?
Yeah, it was probably an adjustment, but who is there not an adjustment for when you come into this place? I mean, you come in and there's big, fast, strong people that are older than you, so it's an adjustment for everybody. We like the fact he was a Wildcat quarterback, but probably the most intriguing thing is he played Mike backer. You know, he came a 7-on-7, and he was an inside linebacker that dropped and played coverage in space. Most kids that have the spatial awareness to play off the ball don't struggle to move on the ball. They might struggle with the physicality, but they don't struggle with the instincts and knowledge and ability to communicate and make plays and adjustments. And that was the case with him. He was able to pick it up really well, and he's got the size to go with it.
Coach, got a two-parter for you. Kyron Jones has returned from his injury, and what has he done to improve as a player? Obviously, rehabbing is one part of the process, but him actually getting better as a player, how has he done that? And then the second part is, how have you guys kind of managed some of these older guys that were coming off injuries, Jordan Hall, Gabe Harris, even Drew Bobo? How have you guys kind of handled them throughout camp?
Yeah, on Kyron, I mean, I don't want to say there wasn't a lot to learn or a lot to improve on. Everyone has something to learn and improve on, but he's been a product of our system. He's a guy that grew up in the system, developed in the system, and his best football was really this time last year. He had a scrimmage too last year where he flashed and played well and earned kind of the ability to be considered a starter and rotate and play. The foot injury has not changed that. It's just changed the volume with which he could practice and the volume with which we could play him. And we had to prepare as if he was not there, because we don't know what he's going to be able to give us. And so far, he's done a good job. He's been on a little bit of a pitch count, and we'll have to rotate and play guys with him. But he's done a really nice job as an older player that the more you play in football, period, but the more you play in this defense, the better you play. And he's a product of that. He's a product of a guy that stuck around and stuck it out, and he's a good football player right now, playing at a really good level. We just got to continue to do that, and we got to have a plan for him if he can't. And then your other question about the other injured guys, I mean, injured or not, those guys would have been on a pitch count this fall, because I think a couple of them are fifth years and a couple of them are fourth years. And fifth and fourth years for us, if they're a returning starter like Gabe is and Drew is, and I really count Jordan in that group, you don't take every snap. There's not enough snaps to go around, so we spread them out more, and those guys have been on pitch counts in terms of snap counts for practices.
Wanted to ask about Tyler Williams and Thomas Blackshear, a couple of your younger wide receivers, and sort of what you've seen from them throughout the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they both have flashed and made plays, need to contribute on special teams. They both have ability. They wouldn't be here if they didn't. I'm pleased with that entire room, and those guys enjoy work. They come out to get better every day, and they both had, shining moments. They both made some plays in the scrimmages and done a nice job, and they got to continue to do that.
Kirby, obviously you've been doing the mic at practice for years. Do you remember what your inspiration for doing that was, and how much do you keep in mind that everyone within like a half-mile radius or whatever of the field can hear what you're saying?
Well, I start thinking about that, but about period 3, I have not thought about that anymore. But there was no inspiration for it. It came from my voice, and I couldn't get across what I wanted to say without being hoarse every day or having a headache. So it was a better solution to a communication problem that I couldn't get to the other end of the field with my voice. So that thing would. So I think it's overrated in terms of it, because some of the players can't even hear it, and they have headphones in and they listen to the dots, so it's a lot of times it's for organization purposes when we change drills and things like that.
Kirby, LSU seems to possibly be adding a couple players that previously were with Lane. Are you and your staff evaluating players on NFL rosters who may have gained or are pursuing gaining eligibility? And what do you think of those guys possibly playing college football this season?
No, we're not currently evaluating anybody that's on NFL rosters. And, my thought is just to each his own is my thought. I'm worried about our team, our organization, how we do things. The opportunities presented to the guys on our team is important to me. They've earned those opportunities through an off season, through a summer program, through a really tough fall camp. And you have to decide, each and every person, if that's valuable enough to warrant replacing your players that have worked with your team with others. Hey, they might be better, so our job is to upgrade and try to get better as much as we can and win games. So some people feel like that gives them an opportunity to be better and doesn't change their culture, then more power to them. But this thing's it's tough. It's not affecting us in terms of timing. It's just, I think it's affecting everyone else. People don't follow the chronological history of this thing of like the years experience, where 25 years ago we had a guy play one play in the SEC championship and he lost an entire year of eligibility at LSU because he played one play, and he was only given 4 years to play, and that one play cost him an entire year, and he didn't get that year back. He didn't get those opportunities back, and so then the advent of the rule went so far as to say, okay, we're going to give you 4 games plus 4 years. And some people during that time lost out on a chance to get that because the rule came into place at a time when they had missed the opportunity to play in those 4 games. I didn't get afforded that opportunity when you play 4 games. Back when we did redshirt was one play, and that was it. Then they came in and said, okay, you can have postseason be exempt. And there were people that missed out on those postseason exemptions. They didn't get a part to be of those postseason exemptions, SEC championship, bowl games. But all those rules came about because they were needed, because rosters were dwindling, people were transferring, people were not playing in bowl games, so they made them exempt and they changed them. But it affected different people each time they changed those rules. And this is a better rule. 5 for 5 is a better rule. So you can play as much or as little, and you get 5 years. So it's affecting different people in different ways.
Coach, I know Nate Frazier lost his dad a little bit ago, and I believe maybe you've got some other players on the team who are going through kind of similar stuff. How, as a coach and as an organization, how do you help guys like that kind of navigate through grief, and just how is Nate doing, after all that?
Yeah, I think you could ask Nate that question. He's a tremendous young man. He's really close with his mother, and he respects his dad so much, and the loss of his father was impactful on him. We have a tremendous mental health staff here. University of Georgia Athletics supports that piece, and we have numerous people that our players can reach out to. Brad Hambrick does a tremendous job. And then, TSET. TSET's been a part of our program for long before I was here. Coach Rick brought TSET on, and I don't know that I've met someone that is as talented at his profession, career, as caring as he is about the players. I think he's married double digits of players as the official person acting in the wedding, and he has spent a lot of time with Nate and knows Nate well, and he spends time with our injured players, and there's so many things behind the scenes that we're very fortunate to have people like Brad and TSET that I'm thankful the University of Georgia supports us to have those guys be part of our program.
One more question.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you about Terrell Foster. This guy's been in the program. It looks like, just from some of the highlights that have gotten out and from the open scrimmage you had, we've seen 30 make a couple plays. Where's he at, and how does he contribute to this team?
Well, he's already contributed to the team. His character is undeniably one of the best on the team. He's one of the highest character individuals I've been a part of. Never heard the guy complain. I've seen him out there 3 years ago hitting sleds all by himself outside my office, just trying to get better. He's been on the scout team in some form or fashion every year. He doesn't take a scout team rep any different than his rep. He started on special teams unit. He's one of the most dependable, accountable, upstanding Georgia representatives there is, and we're very fortunate to have him. And he's fighting for time in the rotation. He's probably in that top 4 linebacker group to get playing time and help our team.